Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Kylie, in case you're new, but I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're not new, but just in case. I'm currently crocheting because I have been doing that since I've been down for the count. My grandma taught me how to crochet when I was a little girl, and she would give us these washcloths, which eventually I'm going to learn. I think they're really simple. She always said they were really simple. She would get these plain, just cheap washcloths and then crochet around the edges, and they were cute and decorative, but also it was beneficial. It helps scrub things. And so I'll eventually get there, but for now I'm just working with some thick and chunky wool yarn, and I've been making ear warmers. Currently I'm making a toboggan for my niece, which I'm not gonna show you, one, because she sometimes watches my videos. I have two nieces, they're both gonna get one, but she sometimes watches my videos and I don't want them to spoil the surprise, but I guess I just spoiled it because now she knows she's coming. It's coming. But I've been making earwarmers, which they both already have, and all my nephews and my own children and my husband and myself and my parents and my sister. My brother-in-law is the only holdout. My cousins, my best friend. I have made these for all sorts of friends and family. But they're these little earwarmers, and they're just a simple single stitch crochet pattern all the way around, but you should have seen my first one. These actually look decently well compared to that, and they are just really comfy and practical. We had our first snow yesterday, and it got down to 13 degrees last night, so it's been a chilly one. So all my boys and my husband have been wearing these around. Trey took the last week and a half off of work to take care of me, and it has been so helpful having him here because I was down for the count for a while and in some good pain, but then I have been able to get around more and do all the things. Still can't lift anything. I'll get into all of it. I'm 8-9 days post-op. So I had surgery for a massive ovarian cyst last week, and I have been on the mend, so I'm going to tell you all about it. And if you missed any of this, or you're like, what the heck is this girl talking about? My last video, the one right before this, goes into a lot of details of what I was dealing with then. And I wanted to just throw out this update, kind of just so you guys didn't have to worry about me. I am so beyond grateful for all of your prayers, your messages, all of the things above. I'm so grateful, and I'm going to tell you specifically why I'm so grateful, because I believe in the power of prayer, and I think that this is a testament to that. So the last video I made, I felt like I just needed to get it out there. I felt like I needed to ask for prayer for a bunch of people. I had my family and close friends praying for me already, but I hadn't told very many people what was going on, because basically we didn't know what was going on with me for a while. And then we figured it out, and then surgery kind of happened pretty quick. After I met with our surgical consult, I had surgery the following week. So it was bing, bang, boom once they got it going, because it was so massive they wanted to get it out, which I was so uncomfortable. So that week from the last video to surgery is a blur, and then the last week to now is a blur. The last few weeks have been blurry. So my surgery was on the 9th, my birthday was on the 10th, so I was correct. I was, definitely all day. I don't even really remember my birthday, so we're floating it. So we went in for my surgical consult. Let's just go back to that. So the night before I asked for prayer, I had done my research on my doctor, and she specialized in laparoscopic surgery. So I was quite excited for that, because I was really hoping for a laparoscopic surgery. But I knew with the size of my cyst, and I knew with the article that my father had found from the Today Show of a gal who had a similar size cyst, they had to open her up from like the top of her ribs down to her pelvic. So she had an incision from basically her whole abdomen. So I was mentally preparing for that. And I also had known, with it being an ovarian cyst, and because of, that I would lose that left ovary. I had found during my consultation, not only would I lose my left ovary, I would lose my left fallopian tube, which happened. So I have one ovary and one fallopian tube now. It could have been way worse. There has been many times when women go in and they have found cancer, the cyst is cancerous, or they found, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's been a lot of times, so we were very worried about cancer, even though we had doctors reassuring us that because of its size, it most likely wasn't, but we had to run a lot of tests. So after my consultation, she said they're gonna have to slice me open. There's no other way around it because my cyst was so large that even though she specializes in laparoscopics, she doesn't think she can get her tools in without rupturing the cyst and making a bigger problem, which I totally understood. But I did ask her, I said, "Doctor, are you sure? I did my research on you." I think it flattered her that I did my research, and I know you do. I specialize in laparoscopics. Are you sure? And she was like, "Kylie, there's just no way." And I was like, okay. And I was fine. Then they were concerned about cancer, which you understand. So I did some ovarian cancer screenings that day, and she had told me if the scans come back high, if the tests come back high, then it could be due to also that everything was so, it can pick up on whatchamacallits. I always want to say inflation, but it's not inflation, it's inflammation. There we go. It can pick up on, it can read high from inflammation as well. And I was like, okay, but they didn't tell me what the numbers were high. And you know, with modern medicine nowadays, we have the my chart where you can see things. So this, okay. So later in the day, I come home, and at this point, I don't have a surgery date. I know they're going to have to slice me open. I know I'm going to lose an ovary and my fallopian tube. It's going to be a long recovery. 6 weeks minimum until I can basically get out of bed. It's going to be a long haul recovery. And so I was mentally prepared. I didn't like cry during my appointment, but I had like tears running down, and mainly because it was just a relief to get some answers of when it was going to come out or what the procedure was going to be and all of that. So meanwhile, I get home. That was in the early morning, like 8 a.m. I get home. Trey took me to my appointment. I come home. He goes to work. A couple hours later, I get my test results back from my ovarian cancer. I want to just tell you this because I think it's fair, not when I'm about to go into this story. I now know I'm cancer free, but this is the process of me. I don't want you freaking out that I had cancer, or I don't think it's something that I should keep you on your chair about. I've already updated you guys on my community posts. So if you read my community posts, I have been updating you here and there from my last video, just so you guys didn't have to worry if you saw it. But I do know, because from some messages I have received, which I will get back to you after when my brain is a little more clear, that some of you haven't seen those and have been worrying. But I had been updating you when my surgery was, that I was out of surgery, that I was cancer free, all of that I had updated you. So if you know that, you know. Now you know. But I am cancer free. But then I got that my chart test back. And I don't know, this is all my experiences. If your doctor says something different from mine, that is what it is. But I'm going with what my doctor said for me personally. And she did say it would be high if I had inflammation. So I get on my chart, I check my cancer score, and it said normal is from like 0 to 35. And I was at 101, and it said I was just like off the charts. And my heart went into the pit of my stomach, and I knew that it could be inflammation with how much my cysts, how everything was impacted. I should have a ton of inflammation. And I was just like, but I was still freaking out. But I keep in mind that at this point, I have so many hundreds and hundreds of people praying for me. And I felt peace. I felt the peace. I felt it all. I was dealing with it with the Lord. And at this point, I knew from other people's stories and the gal of the article that if you're positive with cancer, they do a whole complete hysterectomy. They take out all your bits, your uterus, all your things. Now, my doctor did say that she was not one for that, which gave me peace. So she says if we find cancer while we're in there, we will close you up. It'll be a completely other procedure. I'm Googling things because that's what you do. And for the first time, I think ever, Google is putting my mind at ease, because they're like, even if you get a high score or a high blood test result on your ovarian cancer thing, it could be due to inflammation. And I'm like, okay, so I'm dealing with it with the Lord. But my sister had invited us over to come and visit her, which was a miracle, because I went to go and see her and sit with her. And I'm on her couch and we're just talking about it. And I hadn't cried at all about fear, but I was like, hey, and she's like, I just don't think you do have cancer. I just don't feel like you do. But I'm like, who knows? Like, nobody really knows. And my thing just came back off the charts. I'm like starting to not spiral, but I start crying to her, and I'm just telling her, I was like, and she's like, well, what is it? I feel like the Lord is trying to get something out of me. And I was like, well, this is what I feel like. I know this is extreme, but I want to be at the point where I wake up and I have no reproductive organs and I'm okay. That I still praise the Lord. That I still get up and I praise the Lord. And be like, they come in and say, we had to take it all. And I'd be like, okay, that's all right. And be okay. And she's like, well, I think that's a bit extreme. And I don't know if anybody would ever be that way, but I think that is a good, and at this point, I'm just like sobbing and I'm telling her all this. And it's just like my fears of all of this. Wow. I haven't cried in a really long time. And now I'm feeling it all come back up just from reliving this. And whether you believe in the God or not, this is what is personal to me and this is what I believe. And I just felt like the Lord was saying, regardless of if you have and this is extreme, but our God does extreme things. Look at Abraham and Isaac, where he asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac and then stopped him at the last minute. I think that the Lord wants that from each one of us, that he wants us to lay down what we deem the most valuable thing and to still choose him at the end of it if he takes it away. And so that's where it came. My card keeps filling up. My dog's barking like a psycho, and I think my dad is here. Ay. I'm just trying to film this video, man. And it's getting dark. It's only like 5:50 and it's getting dark. Winter is coming, folks. So that is where I was at. And at that point, after I kind of, I don't know, I felt like I was doing the work, but I wasn't completed in it, which is, my sister was encouraging me, and she actually prayed over me. I had a few days earlier, and something that pierced my heart, and it's, she just prayed that the joy of the Lord would be my strength, because I was living in not necessarily self-pity, but a little bit of self-pity, and that like pierced my heart. And so like the joy of the Lord will be my strength. And the Lord already knew what I was going to go through. He already saw everything that was going to happen. But as I was sitting on that couch with my sister, I get a call from my doctor. It is my dad. Hey, Dad.
Here's your present.
Thank you.
I'm upstairs. You gotta open it up.
My dad brought over part of my present that he just came in the mail. The rest of it came on my birthday. Okay, so while I'm sitting on the couch dealing with myself, with my telling my sister all what had been working through over the last few weeks of the last week of all these things, I get a call from my doctor. And my doctor said, Kylie, I cannot stop thinking about you. And during this, I just want to keep reminding you. I had been asking for prayers from all of you, from all of my family and friends. So I had bazillion people praying. And it went from a massive incision. And she's like, I just can't stop thinking about you. I've talked to other doctors that have dealt with similar cysts, and we think I think we figured out a way. She explained the whole thing. And I had been praying specifically for her that she would be creative. That the Lord would just open her creativity to this and just allow it to be laparoscopic. And she's like, I'm going to be able to do it laparoscopically. I don't want to open you up. And I'm like, are you serious? And she was like, yep. And this is how. So essentially, if medical stuff grosses you out, skip ahead. Just keep flipping up. Essentially, she was going to do an incision, which I have, and it's so in my belly button that she said she was going to do it right under my belly button, but it's like right under, but in my belly button, and it's about this big, 2 inches, probably, maybe 2.5 inches. We're going to insert a port, and they were going to drain my cyst until she could fit to get the gas in my stomach, which for laparoscopic surgeries, they put, I think it's carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, one of those. One of them's probably terrible to put in, the other one, is it CO2? I think it is. I don't know. They put the gas in and it inflates your stomach, but because my cyst was so large that they had to drain some of it before, and then they were able to do it laparoscopically. So if anybody knows anybody that has a giant cyst, ovarian cyst, that their doctor's gonna cut them open all the way, no, don't let them. You can, there's other ways. And guys, editing Kylie here. I realized I did not go into the numbers with you. The high ovarian cancer score, that was at 101. When my doctor called, the same phone call where she told me she didn't want to open me up, she said, I asked her about, I was like, so my numbers are really high. So are we dealing with a little bit of cancer here? And she's like, oh, Kylie, we were all shocked at your numbers. And this is where I want to emphasize, like, this is my doctor's advice for me. So whatever your doctor says might be different, but this is for me. And she said, if you had cancer, we'd be looking at numbers in the thousands. We were actually so surprised at how low yours were, considering the amount of information you had. For it to only be at 101, we were shocked. I passed all of your information over to our oncologist just to review and look everything, and she doesn't have a concern that there's any cancer whatsoever, but obviously we can't tell until we get in there. And as we know, I am cancer free. It was all good. But there was that moment in time. This is why looking at your my chart is detrimental sometimes to patients, because you don't know what the freak you're looking at, and you think that the chart is high, and when it's off the charts because it says it's off the charts. But then when you actually talk to your actual doctor, who's a professional and sees stuff like this all the time, not as detrimental as what you thought. So sometimes my chart is not that great. Sometimes it can be. In this case, it wasn't. So I was really freaked out. I felt like I dealt with my fear pretty well, though, and she wasn't concerned whatsoever. So that's that bit. It was successful. My surgery was an hour and a half, and I went home the same day. I was going to spend 3 nights in the hospital. So let's recap. Originally, sliced all the way open vertically, my whole entire abdomen sliced out, and she was going to grab it out whole. Then I was going to be on bed rest for like 6 weeks, and then I was going to have a massive scar, and then I was going to have to be in the hospital for 3 nights. So definitely going to be on my birthday, but you know, at this point I just didn't give her a rip. I just wanted the thing out. And then it goes from, I asked her, well, how fast can I milk my cow? And she's like, probably in a week. And I think I could milk my cow right now. But I think it would be like really pushing it. So we're just going to wait. And from 2 weeks ago, well, from a couple days ago from my post-op appointment, she said I could be riding a horse in 2 weeks because my sister just got a horse. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll just play it by ear. But I might have had setback from myself because I got a little carried away because I'm a homesteader. And homesteaders need to take a chill pill. Which is partially why my husband took the rest of this week off, was so that I would just have no excuse to not take it easy. So that's been good. But I did find myself out doing chores yesterday. So, okay. So, it was a freaking miracle is what I'm telling you. It was totally the Lord, and totally I swear that all of your prayers being answered, my prayers being answered, that she would be creative. They got super creative. She was like, it was super easy. She said it was the largest cyst she's ever seen in her career. It was 25 pounds. Can you believe that? I cannot believe that. So I would like to tell you that I am now down 45 pounds. That's right. Because I lost that 20 pounds in the summer and then just lost 25 more. I'm down 45 pounds. So, and also for my brain, if this is funny to you, I don't even care. It's just real life at this point. I had been trying to lose weight not necessarily, I had been cleaning up my eating a ton and eating more whole foods and really trying to get healthier and lose weight, but I wasn't able to. And I'm like, man, but in reality, what was happening was my cyst was growing. And so I wasn't able to lose the weight, even though I was losing the weight. It was it's like contradicting it. Well, 25 pounds worth. So yeah. So technically I was like, well, the cyst made me lose 25 pounds, but I had actually stayed the same weight up until I lost that 20 pounds. I was staying the same weight as I was a year ago. So I have actually lost the 45 pounds. It just didn't feel like I had lost any. Does this make sense to you? Because I had stayed the same and the cyst kept getting bigger, I had essentially lost that already, or I was losing it as what I thought I would, but I wasn't because the thing was getting bigger. Okay, anyway. So they got it out, and afterward, I was really freaked out about surgery. I'd never had it. I was really scared, but they give you, the anesthesiologist comes in, she slips you a Mickey, you know, gives you like something in your IV and makes you calm. She was about to give me a second one, and I was like, don't give me that second one. I am coherent enough to know I don't want more drugs, and I'm also coherent, but I'm also, the anxiety is gone. So do not, I put myself up on the operating table. I was like, I was there, but not there. But on the way, it was hysterical. So she's pushing me from like where they prep you for surgery, where you got to do all the things, and from where the anesthesiologist put me in I was in my little gurney or whatever it's called, and then she wheeled me into the operating room. By the time she had slipped me the Mickey, I felt so good. I wasn't scared. I was fine. And she was talking to me about gardening, and I was teaching her what she was like, oh, I don't wonder if I could still plant a garden. And I was like, well, typically you could, if you would have. A while ago. I was like, where do you live? I don't even remember where she said she lived. I think it was either Bend or Sisters. And I was like, even for that, it's gonna be pretty late unless you have starts, and at this time of year. But you could do garlic. I said, then it'll bring you joy. And I taught her how to plant garlic all the way from there to the operating room. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And I'm just like half drugged out. So the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm in the recovery room with like 75 million people. And I'm like, holy crap, there's 1 million people in here. And she's like, I know. Well, the first thing she said, I was like, whoa. And she's like, oh, Kylie. And I'm like barely waking up. She's like, you're up. You're all done. Your surgery went great. And I was like, oh my gosh. She hands me a Jell-O. And what I remember is being really disappointed that they didn't have blue raspberry Jell-O. And then I was like, well, she's like, do you want a popsicle? And I was like, yeah, do you have blue raspberry? And then I think I gave her a decent lecture on blue raspberry being the most popular flavor, and they really should have blue raspberry. I think I talked to her about the blue raspberry flavor all the way out to the car. And I had time to get dressed. I asked to talk to my surgeon. She came back right away, and she talked to me a little bit. I don't really remember it. Just being a little loopy. I did know that they found a mass at that point on my other ovary. When you hear a mass, and when I'm on some serious drugs, nobody's with me. My husband's not with me. They're not in the waiting room. They're not even back there with me. I got kicked out of that recovery room so freaking fast that I had hardly enough time to finish the popsicle. Like, I'm like eating the popsicle as I'm getting rushed into the wheelchair out the door, the side door. My husband's our car is out there, but then he's not there. He was in the main area, the waiting areas, because he thought they'd bring me out. No, they shoved me out the side door. It was so freaking fast. I was in and out and bam, home. I thought I'd have to pee and everything. No, by the time we got out, I got kicked out. I had to pee at the Starbucks down the road. Like, I was kicked out so fast. Oh, anyway, so besides that, it was lovely. Everything, I enjoyed actually being kicked out. I didn't want to linger. I don't want to have to, they had originally told me I was going to have to wait around until I could pee, but I was relieved to get out of there. But I did have to pee all the way home. So didn't matter if they made me wait around or not, but they were like kicked my butt out the door. Fine by me. But I do remember my doctor was like, sometimes the most painful part of post-op is the gas that they had put in there to do the laparoscopic. It can go up into your shoulders and cause major shoulder pain. And that was my biggest pain besides the surgery. I think that it went up into my right shoulder pain. So if you ever have laparoscopic surgery, get one of those heating pads. I have one because I just typically have cramps and like period cramps, but they go over your shoulder and it goes down your back, like halfway down your back, and it has settings and you can set it low, medium, high, whatever, extra high. I don't know. I think there's 4 settings, but that was it. If I sat in my husband's recliner with an ice pack on my incisions and that heat pad on my shoulders, I had no pain. None. As soon as I got up, but let me tell you something. my husband took great care of me. You want, like, when you take your vows and for sickness and in health, he really meant that one. He was helping me put on my undergut G's, rubbing my feet, making sure I had fresh water and snacks and ice, and my boys were very helpful as well. They filled up, they still been keeping me in the water. Filling my cup up with lemon water is what I wanted, all I wanted. And I wasn't very hungry for a while, but I came home. That first night was, I slept so good that I missed my pain medicine. They gave me 2 days worth of pain medicine and then they kicked me off. I set my alarm and Trey should have set his, which he did from then on, but we slept through it and I woke up at like 1:50 in the morning in excruciating pain. And the only place I could find comfort was if I sat on the side of my bed, crisscross applesauce, and put my head on my mattress like that. And I was able to get some reprieve from the pain, but I was in so much pain. That was the worst night. And since then I've gotten progressively better. I did have a setback yesterday doing chores. I was in the golf cart and we had some snow and we had a bit of mud by the gate and my golf cart was swinging. I may have been driving a smidge too fast, but I was out in the pasture and I was coming out the gate and the fence post there, that's the gate post, which is a big post, I almost hit and I jerked it over and kind of reopened my incision a little bit. But I have 3 layers of incisions, and so I was in a little bit of pain yesterday, but not bad. I didn't take any medicine. I've been off the sauce for a week now, almost a week. And yeah, so that is where we're at. I am down a fallopian tube. I am down an ovary. I have had some light cramping in that area, like period cramping, it feels like, even though it's not period cramping, but it's probably just my body had a lot of stuff going on down there. I mean, all my organs are all moving back into place because they were all pushed out. She said it was just like a pregnancy. My body reacted the same way. It was like all pushed out. All my organs just got out of the way. So they're all moving back to their spots. I would like to tell you that I can wear jeans now again. And I feel really skinny. So I think that's what I had to tell you. I've been yakking at you for a while. Of course, gonna go make a short 7-minute video. That's what I had in my brain. Never is it 7, like 27. I am not a short-winded person. So now, Trey and the boys have been working on getting the farm cleaned up, and if I would show you behind the camera now, you wouldn't know it, but they've actually been doing a really good job at keeping my house clean. It's a disaster. It's like a small disaster right now. I think if we just spent like 20-minute power cleanup, we'd be under control. But Trey is like, Kylie, keeping this house clean is like a full-time job. And I'm like, So now you know. And he's like, and if I want to do outside stuff, the house falls behind and then the outside falls behind. And I'm like, I know. When I go to the garden, my house falls behind. When I don't go to the garden because I'm keeping up on my house, my garden falls behind. And I know it's just this stage of life. And let me tell you, when you go through some health scares, things come into perspective. Like my children or my husband, like that. Keeping a tidy house is important. I agree. Keeping a garden is very important. But also, them being perfect, having a perfect garden, a perfectly clean house isn't what is important when you have babies. Even though my baby's 13 and my twins are 11, they're still babies. They still need their mama. And that is what's important. That needs to be my focus, and I keep reminding myself that. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for your prayers, because I saw, even though I was still praying for that miracle of it completely going away, there were other small miracles. Oh, and after the operating room, I'm in the post-op recovery room, and my surgeon comes and I said, Doctor, whatever her name. I don't want to put her on camera, although I have nothing but wise things to say. Oh, and I got some other things to tell you about her too. I'm not going to tell you your name unless you're in our local area. You want to message me if you need a good OBGYN or a really amazing surgeon for anything for women issues. She was confident. She was, I liked that she was quite a bit older than me. I liked that. So she had some wisdom, confidence, but also like she had really good bedside manner, like empathetic, which I think is hard to, like a hard combination of confidence and like getting crap done, getting creative, but also having good bedside manner. So she came, I had told her, I said, Dr. So-and-so, I just want to let you know that I was praying for you and I have a YouTube channel. And I don't tell people I have a YouTube channel typically, but I was, because I was on drugs. And I was like, everybody's been praying for you, and we prayed for you that you'd get creative and you were going to open me up, and then you got to do it laparoscopically, and I believe in just the power of prayer that the Lord made you creative. And I don't know if she's a Christian or not. She never said she wasn't, but maybe also they don't. I don't know. But she never said she was. But she was like, oh yeah. And I grabbed her hand and I was just thanking her for getting creative and telling her that the Lord gave her creativity. Drugs. But it was a good talk. She didn't mention it the last time I saw her though. So there's that. She also called me. We were waiting for all of my biopsies to come back. So the story's not over. They had to biopsy all the thing. I had so much tissue to have to biopsy, plus the mass on my other side. So, on my other ovary, so which was concerning. But it actually was just an ovulation thing, and it would go away after ovulation. Anyway, so it was benign. Everything was benign, but it took a few days for it to come back. And it came back Friday late, and I saw it and I was panicking. And the guy who read it was very intelligent. And so the guy I was Googling all the things. My dad was Googling all the things. And from what we could tell, we knew the one mass was benign, but everything else seemed fine. But his wording was very doctory or professional. And so, it's not like, I wish they would just be like, you are cancer free. But my doctor called me early the next morning and said, Kylie, I got your pathology results and I'm just sitting on my couch in my pajamas and I just had to call and tell you it's completely clean. Everything's benign. And like, what doctor does that? And I'm sure there are, but most wouldn't. She was on her couch watching TV, thought she'd look and see if my pathology report came back, and then calls me in her pajamas. Like, that shows you a character of a woman. Because she knows I have a family. She knows we're concerned. And she took the time out of her Saturday to think about me and check and call me. And I appreciated it greatly. So, good doctors, your prayers. My family has just been above and beyond. The amount of meals we've gotten from people in the church and our family and friends has just been we're eating another one tonight. My friend Kathleen, she lives right down the road from us, and she brought us enchiladas and some Mexican rice, and yeah, so we're having some more dinners, and we actually have a couple more that we still haven't ate yet. It has just been a massive blessing for the community that we have built. And the people that love us enough to help take care of us and not have to worry about my husband cooking. We haven't had to worry about anything. If anything, it's been like, holy crap, we have so much food. I got to go to Costco as a retreat. And after that's what I kept telling Trey. I was like, will you take me to Costco after my post-surgical appointment? I've been getting out walking every day. And I've been getting up to like a half mile. I'm definitely ready to go probably for at least 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile. I'm done with all my doctor's appointments for a while. And I didn't even have to spend very much money because of all the food that we had been blessed with. So I'm eternally grateful for all the things that all of the kindness that has, in a not great situation, all of the kindness of all of the people, of all the community that we have built that has just stepped up and rallied around us has been beautiful. So thank you guys for following along with me. And I cannot tell you the power of prayer. That I can sit before you right now, but I can stand and I can walk, and I can almost walk a mile, which might not be a lot for you, but when you've just had surgery and have to wake up to walk, and my husband's just been taking me around. All my neighbors can attest to this too. He walks me up at that road every day in the afternoon and takes me for a walk, and I'm like the little old lady. And so I just have the utmost appreciation for my husband and everything he's done for me and my family. And I'm just a big old sap, but know that the power of prayer works. Even if you don't quite see the giant miracle of it completely being dissolved or whatever, but you see other small miracles all along the way. And I kept thinking, maybe, you never know why I had to go through this. Maybe it was for that doctor. Maybe it was for you to see this power of prayer. But I do know that God answered prayers and gave me some miracles in this situation. I could have been down for the count for quite a bit longer, and I'm thankful that I'm not. And I have 3 incision marks, but they're very small. 2 of them are like this big, tiny, and the other one's bigger, but it's in my belly button. So guys, it's insane. I am not even on ibuprofen anymore, and that's how the power of prayers. So thank the Lord, thank you Jesus, and thank you guys for all of your support, your kind words. I value it greatly. Not only have we built amazing community in our town, within our families, within our church, but here on the tubes. So again, thank you guys so much for following along with me. I will see you on my next video. And yeah, bye guys.